even more if I do not have the facts. Philip curled his tongue over his top lip. Helen waited as he pondered his dilemma, the churn of thoughts obvious from the furrow of his freckled brow. By rights, he should follow the wishes of her aunt and uncle, but he was leaning toward the call of future farthings. The boy was running an errand in Berkeley Street, he finally said, his eyes flicking down to her reticule. He saw a coach pull up beside Berta, but he couldn't remember much about it. That's all, my lady. Did you press him? He's the Hollyoaks page over in Berkeley Square. A good lad. I'm sure he told all he knew. Helen nodded. Thank you, Philip. And remember, if anyone asks, I'm not down yet. Of course not, milady. She pulled her shawl more securely over her arms, then headed sedately into the corridor that led to the back of the townhouse. As soon as she turned the corner, she ran for the billiard room. She slowed as she approached the closed door, frowning at a faint sense of unease. Although she had not read any falseness in Philip's face, there had been something in his expression that had rung sour. The only thing that came to mind was a slight distance. Yes, a lack of interest about Berta's situation. In all fairness, it was not surprising. The man was unwell, and Helen had heard that some of the staff were wary of Berta's foreignness. Yet it raised a doubt about the rigor of Philip's interview with the page. It would not have had the concentration of true concern. If the page had held something back or neglected an important detail, Philip would probably not have noticed. Admittedly, no one else would be able to see such hesitations or concealments in the same intense manner that she could. How many times had she observed the secret truths etched into the faces of those around her, truths that were often in contradiction to the handed-down wisdom of society? She had seen keen intelligence in Lady Trevain's black footman, the swift rise of lust in a visiting vicar, and even a look of soul love between two men. Sometimes such knowledge shook her, but she could not ignore the evidence of her eyes, nor could she refuse to use her ability to help another in distress. If her promise to Darby was to have any value, then she would have to interview the page herself and make her own judgment. Now, all she had to do was work out a way to manage such an intrusion upon a household with which she had no acquaintance. She paused at the door of the billiard room, intent upon another intrusion. This was a male sanctum, and while she was not expressively forbidden to enter, it was understood that a lady would not venture inside. One quick glance at the empty corridor, a rap on the door, and she was over the threshold. Inside, the air smelled of cigar smoke, candle wax, and claret, the pungent mix locked into the room by the heavy wood panelling, thick red rug, and lack of windows. The long figure of her brother was bent over the far cushion of the billiard table, his cue poised before a ball. He looked up from the green baize, gave a quick smile of welcome, then returned to his contemplation of the shot. "Hello, Sprite," he said, sliding the cue between his fingers to line up the angle. "Come to play stick with me?" Snorting at his own joke, he slammed the cue-tip into the ivory ball. It cannoned into a red ball, sending it spinning into a corner pocket. "Did you see that? Selburne couldn't do better. What do you say?" Since Helen had never seen her brother's friend, the Duke of Selburne, play billiards, she resisted commenting on the shot and said instead, "I need to talk to you." She closed the door. Alone. Andrew walked out from behind the table, eyeing his next shot. "You'll catch the devil from Uncle if he finds you in here." "He won't." Helen waved away the consideration with a bravado hand. She took in her brother's outfit with guarded approval. For the most part, he followed the dictates of Mr. Brummel, the acknowledged leader of fashion, with regards to his attire, superb tailoring and subdued colours to create an understated elegance and heroic shape. Andrew's evening jacket was of Spanish blue and cut to make the best of his athletic stature. His satin breeches were impeccably fitted, and his crisp, white cravat cascaded in a fall of intricate folds. But he had faltered with his waistcoat, pea-green and embroidered with a riot of blue and pink flowers. It seemed that Andrew, like the Prince Regent, had a weakness for bright satin and embroidery, two things definitely not within Beau Brummel's philosophy. "I do like that jacket," Helen offered, overlooking the waistcoat. Nothing pleased her brother more than a compliment on his